Good afternoon. This is my trade review for Monday the 26th of June 2023. It's an early review tonight because I'm done trading for the day, and so I thought I'd just do my trade review and I can just relax later and not have to worry about the market. So looking at the MES chart on the 1 hour time frame, I was watching a couple of key areas. One of them was the 4400 area, which is this area here, and as you can see on the hourly, it used to be an area of resistance, then it came back and became an area of support, and then we had a few more areas of support here, and then it tried to retest it again last week, and it broke through 4400, but it couldn't hold it, and it rejected it again, or it bounced off it again up here, and then it became support again for a while, and then it finally broke through on Friday. Is that it? Friday. And then it came back and retested it on Friday. And so in the pre-market, well, in fact, on my mind from last week, I wanted to watch the 4400, and we can see here in the pre-market at about 3 AM Eastern time, it came back and bounced or rejected off of the 4400. So it's an area of interest. So today I wanted to also watch it. I had it down as more of a scalp play because it's quite close to where the market was opening, and I also had this area down as a bounce area as well. So 43.68 and 4400 were the main areas I was watching. So let's go into the smaller time frame. So let's look at the 5-minute chart. So on the 5-minute chart, which is where I look at, this is the chart I use the most of the time. We had the open, we had this pre-market high here, which was about 43.90, and it was putting in a series of higher low and a higher low and a higher low and a higher high and then a higher low, and I was expecting it to come back up again, but we saw this red bar as the market opened, and it looked like it might want to break back down because it's coming below this area here, but it turned around, and I wasn't really watching it really because I was a bit distracted. I was a bit late this morning, but there's this area, this pre-market high area, and on the 2-minute chart it put in a great break and retest for the long, and maybe I could have watched that for a potential play. It would have been a scalp play because it wasn't one of the plays in my plan this morning, but that's not a problem. I was really watching 4400. So we came into the 4400 area, and I decided to get a starter entry on the edge of this zone. I think it was about 399, around about that area. So I got in for a position just there, starter position, and then when it came into the 4400, I then added again another starter position. So each position was 2 contracts. I had 4 contracts at this point. So I spent the majority of the first 20 minutes today in profit because it kept pulling back down, and it did look like it wanted to bounce, wanted to reject this area, and then we had this big top and tail candle come in, and I don't usually put in physical stops. I rather have a mental stop and stop myself out manually rather than have a mental stop. If I'm walking away or I'm leaving the machine on or I'm doing something else, then I may just put a protective stop in just in case we see a big market either a sell-off or a big market run up. But today I had a mental stop. I was watching this area, and ideally I was going to be stopping myself out around 44.03.50. That was the exact level I put in the trade room. Let's find it. I'm sure that's what I put in. 4400 there by 403.50. So that's kind of the area I was keeping an eye on. So my mental stop was just about here, and as you can see, I came within one tick of being stopped out mentally. However, I wouldn't have taken this top had it touched, because I always like to let the candle complete first. So on the 5 minute, and I was watching the 2 minute, which also put in a top in tail, quite a convincing top in tail. I was waiting and watching. I saw a big volume spike as well. You can see this big volume coming in here, and with this top in tail, normally that signifies the start of a trend reversal. So I stayed in the trade, and obviously I'm glad I did, because you can see what's happened. So my first profit was taken here. It's actually at the bottom of this tail, and so I was down to 3 contracts at this point, and I'd taken one off, and my average price was at 40. It was exactly 4,400, just there. Then the market returned around again, and I'm trying to put ads into my play, and my rule for ads are on pullbacks or double tops. So it came back in, and I added again just above 4,400, so I had a slightly better entry than my previous entries, and then it reversed. So I took profit again around, I think it was on the VWAP, that area there. I then took profit on the 200 moving average, and again on the 50 moving average, which left me with one contract. That's right, yep, just trying to remember my move. No, in fact, I didn't take this one. Let's go back. I took it here on the low, on the opening, the low of the day. That's it. So that left me with 3 contracts, and so then I added on this pullback here. And what I was watching for on this pullback was this 200 moving average. We had the VWAP, we had the 50 moving average, and I was watching for the candle, and it was a bit of an indecision candle. It wasn't a great candle. I was also hoping it would put in a higher low as well, and there's this area of resistance about here as well, and it kind of came into all these areas, so it was quite a lot of confirmations. And the other thing I was watching was the volume. So we had this high volume candle here for this candle, and then the volume was lowering as these candles were pulling back. The volume was getting lower, and that normally indicates that there's no real buyers in the market, and it's just a pulling back. So because of the low volume, or the reducing volume, I thought I added right on the VWAP, and so I was back down to 2 contracts at this point, and it came down to this area. My target was the low of the pre-market, and my next target was going to be the trend line. So these are the areas I was watching. So I was on 2 contracts still, and I was waiting for another ad, and I added again back up here on the VWAP, and that was a good ad because we can see what's happened. It pulled around, and again I was watching the volume. We had quite low volume, so the volume was a bit like on the 2 minute chart. You can see a decline in volume as well, which made it more compelling, and that's the reason I took it there. And then we saw this big sell-off, and that was great. So I had 2 contracts left, and I got out of one contract around about here, and then the second contract was based on the SPY chart, because I like to flick between the two. And if you go over to SPY, one of the levels I was watching for on SPY was 432, which is a bounce. It's a higher risk bounce. So, and I knew I knew that was on my mind, and I didn't really want to hold through that bounce. And so as we came down to here, let's change that down to the 5 or 2 minute ones. Here we go, it's a better one. So this is exactly where I took it. So this is where I was holding my MES trade. So I took profit there, and the next bit of profit was right on the 432, and it was the low, which was the low of the day on the MES, and it did exactly as per my plan. What I could have done is just reverse my position and took some profit on this reversal here, but the market is weak, and I didn't really want to hold any longer. I was already up quite well and I didn't want to give back any of the profits. So going back to the MES, my out was right on this candle, on the wick there. And so today I got in on the high of the day, and I got out at the time was the low of the day, and I added in 3 places, there, there and there, and that was my trade for the day, and it was a great trade. I'm watching 430 on SPY, which is 43.68.50 on MES, and possibly if it triggers my I've got an alarm set. If it gets down to that area, I may watch it in the pre-market, and the reason for that, let's just zoom out a bit, is because I'm expecting it to pull back down onto this trend line area and also onto this area of demand, and we might see a bounce, maybe a break of this area and a retest back down low again. So something to keep an eye on. If it doesn't happen today, maybe tomorrow. So let's zoom out a bit more and see where we could be tomorrow. Yeah, so tomorrow 43.68 could be a good position to be keep an eye on, so round about here. And for a bounce back up, we're playing this trend line basically. We're playing this downtrend, which was like this. So we're flicking between the two. So we may see this move tomorrow, or we may see it come back up here. But either way, if we drop below 43.76 where we are now, it makes way for the move down to 43.68. And probably if we break this area here, which is 43.82, 43.85, that will make way for the retest of the top of this trend line. So that's, and at the moment we're smack bang in the middle of both of them, so we can't really judge which way the market's going. Anyway, that's my trade for today. Hopefully you also had a good day, and I will see some of you shortly. Thank you for watching. Take care.